Welcome everybody to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take, well, a hot take is where a few friends get in a basement. We like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Excuse me. Today, it's going to be a TV show, and that TV show is Daredevil Born Again Season 1. Here to discuss, as always, the triple threat. Chris Trio.
Gooch, I am so happy to be here with you, but don't embarrass me in front of Vanessa. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mr. Kingpin.
Thank you. I don't know.
Just like Jesus Christ, Daredevil has risen.
It's true.
And he is born again.
Yeah.
How ironic that we're doing this on Easter weekend.
That's actually a good point. That is funny. Yeah, we're recording this Easter weekend, the Lord's weekend, if you will. Rising once again. That's a good point, Gooch. Very appropriate, indeed.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Daredevil Born Again, Gooch. We're here. We're ready to chat a little. I'm excited to talk about it. Do you want to just jump right in?
Yeah, man. Daredevil Born Again. What did I think? Let me get my...
Lay it out for me.
I liked it. I really liked it. I think there are really high highs with Born Again, but I think there are some moments that are low lows, and if you don't know, this show was, I don't know if it was like halfway finished, but a decent way into production of a totally different version of this show. And some of the episodes of that version of that show are in this new version of Daredevil Born Again. So, and that happened during the writer's strike. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio went to Feige and were like, we're not happy.
Yeah.
But the lows for me are those original episodes.
Sure.
And it's the Mr. Khan one. I think those two are together. Like, there are moments of it. And you can kind of pick it out. It's when there's not a lot of mention of Foggy or Karen. Anything with Punisher is new. Anything with Karen, Foggy, Bullseye, I think, is all new. Like, it's very easy to pick out what is the original and what is not.
Sure.
But overall, all things aside, you think the show, because of, hey, we're just going to reformat this entire production midway through, it would kind of come out shitty, and it didn't. The new writing, I think, really saved it. I think it's what Daredevil fans wanted, what fans of that Netflix original show wanted. And let's keep in mind, this is a sequel to those shows. So I think if you haven't seen them going into this, I feel like there's a lot of baggage that you're going to want to have going into Born Again. But Trio, how did you feel?
No, Gooch, I think I'm like mostly in agreement with you. It's funny. It didn't feel incohesive in any way that I could pick out that stuff that was like, so was it all, I guess clarify for me, was it all like, I know they reused episodes, but it was all reshot though, right? Like so they used those same shots that they used in that original view. Cause I thought it was, they canned the whole thing and filmed the entire series.
They used a lot of stuff that was from that
filmed.
original
Okay,
production.
interesting.
And it's not that it's what was the term you used?
Incohesive,
it's not that it's incohesive or
like it stands out.
It's just like, since I know about it,
Sure.
I'm like kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, well, that bank episode is very clearly,
It's very much a bottle episode.
off.
Yeah.
It's a bottle episode
For
it's
sure.
Just like, and I think it works in where it's slotted, but like that episode was also St. Patrick's Day, and it was the week after,
Right?
So you could tell however they scheduled this originally didn't pan out.
No, that's
way.
a good point. That's a good point. I did like that episode a lot too, and I think it does work narratively in the way of like kind of showing why Matt feels like he needs to get back into Daredevil, but that's still interesting regardless. But I guess to get back to the brunt of it, I really did enjoy this series. I enjoyed the season, I should say. I'm glad that they decided to go with a follow-up instead of just going with like apparently the procedural drama that they were thinking of the first time.
Right.
I'm really happy to hear that D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox went to Marvel and did that. I mean, that can always be PR spin or whatever, a story they get to put out. But still, I think that they know these characters super well, and I'm happy to see it taken in a direction that especially they want it to be taken. I mean, D'Onofrio chews the scenery every time. Charlie Cox is amazing. That fucking just guttural yell he gives out every time. He's like, there's like probably 2 or 3 times in this season.
But nobody grunts just like John Bernthal.
No,
Man.
it's just...
When Punisher's back, like seeing John Bernthal, like, just fucking punish people and fucking demolish anyone in his path, and the grunts, I was like, oh man.
Well, and hearing him
missed it,
talk
man.
about
I
it
really
too
missed it.
is really interesting because, like, he
Bernthal.
was saying,
Yes, yeah.
he wasn't originally going to come back. Like you said, all that stuff's new. He felt they weren't allowing him to be the Punisher that he wanted to be, and I mean, seeing this, he got to paint some walls, as you said in the Discord. He got to fuck some people up. I did feel like that episode was pretty dark. I was watching it.
That last episode?
The one, yeah, I guess that would have been the last episode.
Yeah, in the apartment.
Yeah. I felt like I couldn't see a lot what was going on, but that was also an issue of me. I was watching like afternoon, and it was pretty bright in my room, like because the sun shone. I had everything closed, but you know,
I
it's
watched
still
it down here, like in the dark, like kind of pretend like yeah, like how it usually is when I don't have my fluorescents on, and I didn't have too much of a problem.
Okay, then that was probably my room issue. But yeah, man, seeing him just take out all those cops and stuff like that, I did feel like his interaction with the cops at the end was a little interesting. I didn't really think that's what he would say there at the end. I feel like he'd almost just like laugh at them in more of a way, but I did like that he took it in more of an emotional direction. Yeah.
I really liked the how do I put this? The real world implications of the Punisher symbol and how it's being
like the parallels,
retrofitted and co-opted by different groups, mostly military
and law enforcement,
like just kind of brandishing the Punisher skull for whatever reason. Like I'm not a cop. I don't have cops close to me. Like I don't know exactly the real world iconography behind why military and law enforcement like brandish the Punisher logo, but they address that here, and they kind of label them as like these extremists and the bad eggs in the police department, and Kingpin, we'll call him Fisk.
Yeah,
Fisk really takes advantage of that as mayor, and it's been like, hey, I can turn these bad eggs into eggs that I'm making the omelet with. And I'm gonna, start
easily
the vigilante task
force. Which, I thought was another interesting aspect, and I thought, seeing Fisk take that role of mayor was an interesting twist on what we've seen before. This idea of him trying to kind of claw back everything he lost at the hands of Daredevil. I did like that whole scene of
Matt
them.
Murdock.
And Matt Murdock, yeah, exactly. And I did love that season of them in the diner. Episode and just scene, I should say. It was really fantastic, them just going back and forth. Like you feel like they're just almost the Batman and the Joker in that way, like that same type of enemy, which is funny because Kingpin is technically a Spider-Man villain. Like, there's some weird legalese thing going on where Marvel can still use Kingpin in live action, but Sony has all the Spider-Man characters, of which Kingpin really is one. I mean, we kind of think of him more as a Daredevil villain at this point. At least I do, but it's technically not true. So, I mean, we get annoyed because we can't hear Spider-Man in the TV shows, and that's because of the fucking the web slinger.
Hold on, let me try to do
lock in.
What's his name? Fisk. Yeah.
Or like a vigilante in a spider outfit.
He's like web slinging.
And a man with a skull on his chest.
So those lines really bothered me. You want to know why? It feels like the way the Daredevil was treated in Netflix with the flag waver and the big green guy. Like, we can't just call them Spider-Man and the Punisher. There's a lot of talk about vigilantism and those kind of things. We see none of it.
I mean, we get White Tiger.
And we get another reshot video of Swordsman. Like, we don't see Jack Duquesne being a vigilante at all. Like, I think we could have used more of that hole that was in maybe the second or third episode where, there's traffic and he gets out and he's trying to get to the bottom of it, which seems like very good of him. Like, what's going on? Like, there's a giant hole in the street and, like, why isn't it being fixed? You guys waiting? That could have been a hole made by a vigilante fighting a villain. Spider-Man, a quick shot. Like, it didn't have to be...
well, Spider-Man, for obvious reasons, they can't use him. But I agree with you with other ones. Yeah, give me someone.
Somebody we've seen in the MCU could have made that.
So I will say I wasn't really feeling that, Gooch, personally, until the last episode. that scene when he's in the bar and he's walking out, and like I'm like, okay, where's everyone? Like,
Yeah,
like
well-
you know, like he's like, we need to build an army. I'm like, oh, this is where we're going. This
Jessica
is awesome.
Jones, Luke
and
Cage,
it's-
Iron Fist.
It does
like,
suck because like
Spider-Man.
It really
Punisher.
sucks that they can't use Spider-Man because that's the biggest hole to me because
Yeah.
there's this blackout happening. You don't necessarily need to show him, but like you need to reference him in some way that like
Right.
something's
that
happening
makes
with
it
him.
like Spider-Man exists and he's a
And I mean-
force within the city.
They do it again with that stupid line, which again I agree with you. It's annoying, but and I think they just said the guy with the skull on his face because that's how like Fisk would kind of say it. Like he's just
See,
but because like they have the Punisher. I mean, they mentioned Punisher a few different times. I don't know why they
Right, yeah,
but I
right.
agree with your overall point, especially when you get to that bar scene when he's walking out and it's just all police officers, and I'm like,
Yeah, and Cherry.
Yeah, and I'm like-
and it's like,
Can we anyone?
that was
Can we
that
get
was
anyone?
kind of lame.
Yeah, it was a little lame. But like,
Yeah,
what
like,
it's setting up
I
though,
didn't
I'm
need,
like,
like-
oh, I'm in.
I didn't need the bar full of vigilantes, but like if Jessica Jones and Luke Cage were there, that would have been
Yeah,
cool because
yeah.
then we'd be like, I mean, season 2 is already deep
In filming, yeah.
into filming. And we know Kristen Ritter was in New York for a little while.
Sure.
So we can very much assume that Jessica Jones is in season 2.
I
but
hope
like,
they bring them all back.
it would like that would have been cool. It's like cool. We're bringing everyone back, and yeah, like Iron Fist just seems to be
Mm-hmm.
the only one that is possibly going to get excluded. But
I don't think that I think they'll bring him back too.
yeah,
Again,
you
I
kinda
will
hope, right?
harp on that. I don't think Finn Jones was the issue with that show. I think he's actually fantastic in the second season and in Luke Cage season 2. It just was bad writing, and I would like to see him given another chance. But yeah, that was my biggest gripe with that vigilante storyline. But I will say I liked seeing Fisk's gradual like lean back into the crime and his whole story with Vanessa. I know you were mentioning to me off air that, and you'll talk about it, I don't want to put anything in your mouth, that you weren't the biggest fan of Vanessa. But I actually kind of liked her whole journey throughout the season and where she ended up and how they both end up being, they're both shitty people. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And that moment, especially when he makes her make the choice between killing the dude and like walking away, it's very emblematic of their entire relationship. And I felt
Yeah.
that worked very well.
I think Vanessa just made a huge change as a character. I mean, she literally does. She like runs the Kingpin's operation while he's gone.
Yeah.
And they talk about it. They don't show it.
Well,
They
sure, yeah,
talk about it. But I feel like I was just like, Vanessa seems like a totally different person. Like, I'm like, who is she?
Right.
You know, like I don't quite like. I kind of get it at the end of the day, at the end of the season.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it makes sense. And I feel like as we got further into the show, the more I kind of understood that. But like again, we didn't see that anything.
Sure.
We're not even like a flashback scene of like her like doing mob things, and yeah, it just kind of caught me off guard. It just seemed like I'm like she seems like totally different.
Yeah, I don't
from
know.
how she acted in the Netflix show.
Sure, and I think I think they did a good job, at least for me, explaining that was a result of her feeling abandoned by Fisk and just basically being left in charge of his criminal enterprise, what was left of it, until he came back. And then it's like she built this whole empire for him, and he comes back and he's like,
I
want
can
to
kind of get the cheating thing.
yeah, and I want to come back and I'm going to dismantle this, and because I want to be mayor, and she feels slighted, and you know
Right.
she was she felt abandoned for a year and a half, and I liked her interacting with the therapist character Matt's, what's her name again? Matt's.
Heather.
I hated her by the end, and I think that's on purpose. I just thought that whole journey with them was very well done, and I was surprised that like how well they were able to kind of change the dynamic but keep it interesting.
Well, let's talk about that, but let's take a few steps back.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first episode, Foggy is killed, and he
Right.
is our sort of catalyst into the show.
Oh, that scene when he throws him off that's that guttural scream again. He's so good.
Dude, I thought Bullseye was dead.
I did too.
I don't know how he survived that.
There has to. That's what I'm curious about too. There's
Well,
something up
he
with
went
him, right?
under. Remember, he has like the bullseye symbol on his back. Like he went through some medical procedure.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it probably made him a bit more impervious. Yeah, that moment where he's just like yells, stops, and just throws
tosses him.
Was,
Yeah.
And then even what's her name on the why am I forgetting? Karen. She's on the ground, and the way he just falls behind her, and she's like, "Oh my god." She was in this way less than I was expecting. Actually,
I kind of liked it.
I did too,
Not that
actually.
I don't like Karen's Deborah Ann Wall's character or performance, but it seemed like it makes sense that she would go away for a little while. 'Cause I
Right.
think it gives Daredevil and Matt the opportunity to shine a little bit. I was listening to Screen Crush talk about the show a lot, and Ryan Airy was talking about how he thought that there were not enough supporting characters. And I'm like, you know what, man? We've seen a lot of Daredevil. I don't think I need there to be a lot of
I don't need
supporting.
Team Daredevil either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need a bunch of characters. Like, we've gotten, I would say, almost probably 50 episodes of Daredevil where he had a decent amount of supporting people around him. And this was just a lot of focus on him. And I think that's fine because I like where we're going. I like where we see Matt, where he's very well off and he's in a penthouse apartment. He's in a nice firm. Has rich clients. He's not doing the pro bono work that much anymore. He's not serving the people for all intents and purposes. He's serving higher end clients who have, kind of bit more fucked up problems. Like that one guy we see with his feet up who's just like not taking any of this seriously, and he's like, fuck this guy.
And he's having his like Batman moment again, where that conversation he has with his partner, I forget her name, is very good, where he's like, I just feel like we're not serving justice here, we're babysitting chaos. And he's talking about the guy who's getting thrown in jail for eating a dollar's worth of popcorn, and the other guy who's getting off after ripping off a bunch of school, thank you, and the other guy that's about to get off who ripped off a bunch of like private schools or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, he's really starting to feel the flaws in the system again, and he's like, well, what else am I going to do besides be Daredevil?
And I think the Hector Ayala case, the White Tiger case, is kind of what brings that out. And then he kind of like the vacancy that not being Daredevil sort of comes up again as well. And the system, I like how we don't see him in the suit for a while.
I agree.
I think that's pretty good, and how he builds back up to it. Because honestly, man, I think we're headed in a path where Matt is going to self-destruct. I don't think wherever this show ends up, Daredevil is going to be better off. I hope he dies, or like, this is what happens to Daredevil in the comics. He's not a character who like comes out on top, like especially with like Karen. Sure. And I wonder if they're gonna like do that with her and like do the heroin overdose and turn her into an addict and kill her off.
Yeah.
And then Daredevil, Fisk beats him because he loses this season. They lose.
Yeah, it was a very Empire Strikes Back season. I appreciated. Like, we're left in a very Infinity War, if you will.
And you would kind of
downtrodden state.
Yeah, and you would kind of think that, like, this is the fourth season we're seeing Wilson Fisk pretty much as the predominant villain. I mean, season 2 he really wasn't.
Right.
In season 3 he comes back. Mm-hmm. But in this, I'm like, it still feels really fresh, and it still feels like the rivalry is just as tense as it was in season 1.
Well, and I saw someone post a clip, and they were like, I can't help feeling like Daredevil Born Again undid this. And it's like that scene where he's like, in season 3, he's like, the city rejects you, I beat you.
Yeah.
And then it's like showing all the, and it's like, now he's mayor, and now everyone is cheering for Fisk.
It undid it in the way where Fisk's...
Yeah, and I don't know, it felt satisfying to me,
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, well, if the show continues, I guess you could take it in a totally new direction and not mess with Fisk at all. But that dynamic just works so well, and those two actors just play off each other so well that you can't help but want it. Yeah. And also, it's been so long. When did Daredevil season 3 come out? Like 2017, right?
Yeah.
Something around there. It's been a while, and I know they weren't originally gonna follow this up because like there was something in the Netflix deal that they had to wait a certain amount of years after the shows ended until they could use either that specific version of the character or those characters again. So I'm just happy to see that they've decided after this long to pick it back up, and I think that is what allows them to use Kingpin again.
I mean, to throw that Netflix stuff to the wayside, I think is pretty fucking stupid.
It is.
I mean,
I know.
They spent a lot of time developing those characters. I think a lot of the last season of Jessica Jones was like absolutely fantastic. I think Jessica Jones has a lot of good moments that are just kind of fallen. And even Luke Cage, like, we get a reference to Harlem's Paradise. I think in the first or second episodes, there's a sign for it, and that's where we left Luke Cage off, him running that nightclub and like him being on top in a way. So going back when we were talking about Heather, I really like the Heather relationship because it feels very disconnected from Daredevil and who Matt Murdock really is. Yeah. And I kind of like it. I think it works to show that Matt is becoming, is going down a path that, again, is going to lead him to self-destruct.
For sure. And it's, as Billy Joel says, we all have the stranger. It just depends on who we let in. And he's not letting her see the stranger. She has no idea who Matt is. And, that I do think her journey is very interesting, like how she's talking about like vigilantes and even her interaction with Muse and all that. But I don't know, just that one scene when she's like, Daredevil didn't save me, I saved me. And I saw a great meme, and it's like, Matt, it flashes back to him jumping in as he's like choking her out, clearly going to die, and he's like, what the fuck? I don't know. I just felt like her character was written in a way.
Well, she thinks she's above the vigilantes.
Right, yeah. And I guess
above
that's
it.
the point. And, she's a little bit misguided, but also not to say Matt isn't misguided in doing something, kind of shitty too, because she brings up vigilantism and like how kind of wild it is. I mean,
he's
you're
like,
wearing, yeah, he's like, well, whatever, okay. I mean, you're wearing a mask, you're going out at night, you're beating up people. There's no due process. There's no someone looking over your shoulder to make sure you're doing the right thing. So like, there's definitely real issues there, but I don't know. And then her going to work for Fisk by the end, it just was an interesting turn for me. I didn't necessarily.
Yeah,
see it
because
coming.
I think again, self-destruction.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're gonna go down a route where they're probably gonna break up. Something's gonna happen. Now their relationship is even more tense than it was.
It's true.
When she was Kingpin's, or their therapist.
Their therapist, yeah.
Their marriage counselor.
Doesn't
And
he call her Karen too? In the like, I think he says Karen.
No,
he says
he doesn't
Karen.
call her Karen. I guess he's like waking up.
Right, no,
and he
yeah,
thinks it's her.
Because then
So
the person's like,
she's
it's just
clearly on his mind.
yeah. He's under. It's the drugs or something. Karen. Yeah, Karen. God, that must be so disorienting. Oh, geez.
What, being shot?
Being shot and then just wait. I don't know. This is probably such a silly thing to say, but just like waking up. Also, you're blind after it, and then like you don't know who's in the room with you, but you'll figure it out. It's just a stupid thought. Anyways,
You brought up Muse.
yes.
What did you think about Muse? Muse is probably like one of a very new comic book
thinking
villain,
that, yeah.
2016, an Inhuman, by the way.
Oh, really?
He's done very differently. He
Interesting.
has powers, and the idea of his powers is he's undetectable by senses. Very opposite Daredevil.
Oh, interesting.
So they take his powers away.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the art thing, but I think they just don't lean into it enough.
It kind of felt like it just came and went, to be honest. That definitely.
Like the Muse was a catalyst to get from one spot in the story to another.
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought his like. I just didn't really understand why he was doing what he was doing, and he's going on this rant to the therapist as he's about to kill her. Yeah, I think visually he works very well. Like that costume looks awesome. The canvas like stapled together and the blood running down looks visually striking. But yeah, it definitely wasn't a standout part. And I do like the stuff with Hector's daughter and things like that. And just to get back to the Hector thing, that is another catalyst for the whole thing in the way of he did it the right way. He got Hector off. He there's justice, and then no matter what, he still got popped. And that's what leads him back to being like, no, Daredevil's the way. Yeah.
Executed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like somebody put a gun to his head.
And you
pulled the
find out it
trigger.
was that one cop near the end, which I thought was a good reveal.
Yeah.
And even just that moment with Frank. Like,
Yeah, Red.
you see Red? Just finish it, Red. Oh, God, it's fucking John Bernthal.
cup of coffee in this place. I can't do the Punisher.
John Bernthal, he's really great in this, man. Everyone across the board, I think, performances-wise, I really didn't see one in this where I was like, that wasn't very good.
How'd you like Michael Gandolfini?
Interesting. He's very
Tony.
He's very Tony. He's very New Jersey. It's very
yeah.
Sopranos coded for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it works.
Yeah, dude, the pinky ring at the end, I was like, that's got to be an homage to Tony Soprano. I'm like, come on.
For sure. And I liked how this, like, he's kind of mini Kingpin. That moment when he admits to Kingpin, like, I fucked up, sir. I'm sorry. And, dude, D'Onofrio,
It's
man.
all right.
Yeah. The way he's like,
When I was a boy.
he almost like feels like he's not comfortable in his skin at any time. He's like, it's okay. In my past life, I would have done something differently, but this will be different. And like, it's so, it's like, all right, man, just relax.
He's got his cadence down.
Right? Yeah, it's good.
And I like how Fisk goes from normal suit, black suit, getting a little fat, I guess?
A little
Or
bit more.
Thin.
Yeah, thinner. Yeah,
Thinner.
yeah.
He's thinning out. He's not fitting in his suits.
Yeah. And he's
Like
very
you just
gaudy.
said, not fitting in his skin.
Yeah.
And then he feels bigger at the end of the season. He crushes is he a DA commissioner?
No, he was the commissioner. Yeah.
Commissioner's head, which again we're seeing that Kingpin strength.
Dude.
That he's known for.
I was
of
eating
like
cereal.
absolutely bodying people.
Oh God! I was like, "What's about to?" I thought he was just gonna pop it, but the way he kind of rips his jaw off and like part of his skull caves, I was like, "Jesus Christ! Holy shit!" And I love that he just does it in front of all the cops, and they're just like, I did like the moment too when the police officer picked him up and he sees the tattoo and he's like, "Hey man, join the task force." He's like, "Yeah, commish, just trying to survive, man." He's like, "No, I get it." Like he's not even really that mad at the police officer. He's just like, "Well, I'm fucked." And I did, yeah, he's like, that's it. And I did like the other character on the mayor team, the black woman. I can't remember her name in the show. She's
Sheila.
like, yeah, Sheila. She's like his like team lead. And by the end, she's just like,
what's the New York mayor's name?
I can't-
Fuck, LaGuardia. It's just LaGuardia's desk.
she's like,
I'll have Vanessa find out.
she starts out just as like your regular desk, like just trying to make the campaign better. And by the end, she's just terrified. And that's why, and I felt bad. Like, you could tell that she turned the commissioner in out of pure fear and not because she wanted to. Like, I mean, she's sitting outside literally crying as he's listening to the commissioner, the recording. That whole dynamic I thought was really well done. And, you know, surprisingly stood out to me.
What'd you think about the BB Urich stuff? Not just her as a character, because I think she has a, you know, like a pretty big part to this all, and I think we'll probably continue to have.
For sure.
But the clips of people.
I thought it was interesting.
What do you think about that?
It didn't really, like, I don't know. I didn't really hate it or love it. You know what I mean? I felt it worked within the confines of the show.
So fake.
They did. They felt a little...
Nobody would say that.
See, it didn't feel like Spider-Man dialogue to me, like the Spider-Man 2 dialogue where it felt like super fake New Yorker. But like, it's, you know, like where it's like, yeah, I just love everyone. And, you know, it feels like HR's listening at all
And then
times.
Spider-Man's kind of hot.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's this goth girl.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It didn't like take me out of it at all, but I tend to agree.
I just felt like, I'm like, this just feel, I'm like, nah. Like, I don't know. It just, like, you know, they did a lot. So I just felt like it could have been more effective. And I kind of like her role at the end of like, or even Michael Gandolfini, what's his name again? Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel using her, they're kind of using each other. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But they're new. You know, they don't quite know how to do it yet.
Well, and I think,
and they're still figuring it out.
I think you realize by the end, BB's a bit more keen than we maybe initially thought. Just the way she talks to Commissioner Gallo.
But even Daniel.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
You know, when you have the council people in that room, and he's like, you know, you're either with us, or you're against us. And
he doesn't even say it like
we'll
that.
take your comments into consideration.
He's like, why are you writing it down? He's like, I just want to see who's with everyone. He's like, oh, by the way, after this, we're going to have a meeting about all of your offshore accounts and like your dubious activity. And they're all like, all right, well, I guess we're signing on. Again, this is kind of a story that could only happen within a comic book universe. It's like Spider-Man won the game, like where it's like they shut it down and there's this weird invading army taking over. Like that would never happen in real life. The army would come in and like they'd never be able to.
Game?
With the game. But then even in this,
2016,
like.
okay.
To get away with what Kingpin's doing would be insane. Maybe you could, I don't know. But it works within the confines of the
Speaking
show.
of get away with this stuff, it does feel like Fisk is a big allegory to Trump.
Oh, 100%. That's I think
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I was afraid they were going to lean into it a bit more, like to just I think you can take real life allegories. I mean, the boys do it, and I think you should, and you can make parallels. But I think you risk taking people out of it if you lean into it too hard. And I think they leaned into it just the right amount, because there's definitely, for sure, they're trying to make that parallel.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
first episode, I'm like, this is like Trump.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
exactly what I thought.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
I think we were talking about.
What do you think of his suit? Sorry to cut you off.
Daredevil?
Daredevil's suit, yeah.
Nothing special.
I will say this is
He
a
seems
very
to be
big,
falling into a trope of like they look the same, but like
slightly different.
yeah.
I do think this sort of falls into that MCU trope that people talk about, where it's a little too
Dark.
army-fied. There's a lot of lines,
Yeah.
there's a lot of panels, and there's like, I would love
lot
to
of
see.
MCU suits look
Yes,
like
they
that.
do, and I think that they're somewhat starting to lean more away from that with newer movies. But I would love to see a real kind of like tackling of a cloth suit, Gooch. Like John Wick can wear a fucking bulletproof suit jacket. Give these guys some type of fabric suit. Even Batman.
Is
I would love
Nelson
to see
Potter
that.
still alive? Do we know that?
I don't know. I
The
guess
guy who makes Daredevil suits.
I can't remember if he
No,
dies
no,
in
I
the
guess
season. I thought he died, like in one
Yeah,
in
in season
the
3.
series. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Bullseye finds him to get the suit, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my only gripe with the suit. The cowl looks great.
But we're getting the DD on the chest next season.
It was asking for it. I
Yeah,
mean, it
I
was
was like-
just sitting there
And
waiting.
what do you think
for
of it being black with the red as the secondary?
It's interesting. I wonder, what that's going to mean thematically, Gooch. I wonder what's going on with that. Why is he choosing to dress in black now? Because I didn't realize his like yellow and red suit's supposed to be an homage to his dad. Like it's his dad's color, like his boxing colors. That's why he wears that in the comics, at least. So, and then you see all these different cowls even in this.
I was just gonna say,
you
I'm
see
like,
the devil cave, if you will,
Yeah,
and it's
he
like
has different suits.
he has all these different suits.
Which I
set
guess
up.
makes sense.
You see a lot more swinging and such. He's a lot more acrobatic in this that we didn't see in the Netflix.
Oh, we got to talk about that first scene
once-
when he jumps in with the CGI. Oh
It's not good.
my god,
he
that was
floats.
bad.
He floats in a very odd fashion.
Oh Jesus Christ!
It was. You guys just don't want to take one more pass, and it's not the CGI people. It's the timing. I know
But there
that.
really isn't a lot of him running around.
Yeah, I
this
would have liked to
season.
see a bit more.
We
for
don't
sure.
really get a hallway fight per se. There's really not a lot of fighting in the show all that much.
I think the biggest action scene is probably him and Frank in his apartment.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
And
but you're right with the baton. Like he's using the baton.
He has
more,
the, like,
just
mace
like
on
he did
it.
in She-Hulk.
He's
yeah.
swinging a bit more. Yeah, I love to see it. And I heard Stephen DeKnight, who did the Netflix shows. He was talking. He was like, "We would have loved to do this stuff. We just didn't have the budget at all. Really, like they were severely hindered by that, and that's just because they were also siloed off into this other part of Marvel, as we've spoken about before."
Yeah.
But I did really like this show, Gooch. I thought, it has its issues for sure. I definitely agree with you on some of the connectivity stuff. But
Yeah.
it just overall works super well for me.
I feel like every Marvel project recently, I've been talking about it. Like I feel like it's not connected enough, and you're always like, well, like what do you want? Like
No, and I agree with you.
I think they're just not walking the line well enough.
Well, and yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, and speaking of that, I wanted to bring this up because we're about to see Thunderbolts in like a week and a half, or like 2 weeks. Like we'll be
May
sitting
1st, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks away. So
Right,
we'll be sitting down very soon to review Thunderbolts, and that takes place in New York.
Right.
So, what does that mean?
Well, it would depend on when it takes place.
Yes, it
Right,
would.
so
if honestly, if it takes place after Daredevil and it doesn't reference Fisk or New York status, I'm gonna be really mad.
Can I be honest with you?
They're not going
They're not going to. And I also think they're
And
with
the Void and the Sentry are just gonna show up
So
in
with
NYC after the Vigilante ban.
Right.
Like, come on.
Right. I agree
And
with
the
you.
Thunderbolts.
But again, I don't know exactly. I'm curious. I want to see what that's going to be first. But I agree with you. That's a big if. And I think at this point, the connectivity thing has been pushed to Doomsday. Doomsday is the start of a new. They keep saying this. It's the start of the new thing. I think this phase is going to be remembered for not being connected.
Yeah.
For better or for
I
worse.
mean, just think about
and I
this
think they're just
project,
trying to
like
do
how
what
all over the place.
exactly. And I
everything
think truthfully they were just trying to do what they could in the moment and connect it in ways that made sense. But like with how crazy this production is, they didn't know when it was coming out. They didn't know when timeline wise when it was going to take place. I am curious to see how they tackle it. I haven't been this excited for a Marvel movie in a while that I have been for Thunderbolts. So I am hopeful
that's
for that.
good.
I'm hopeful that that's going to be a really fantastic film. I am going to be a little annoyed if they don't reference this, Scooch. I totally agree. But I think we're not going to get really heavy references of interconnectivity until after Doomsday. I think that is the start of something new that they keep saying.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because
I agree.
Thunderbolts was our first team up movie since Endgame.
Yeah. It's our first
And
fully original movie. Like that's not a sequel, I think. I think
you're right.
Yeah, since Endgame. I think
you're right.
it's a totally
it's
new...
a sequel to all the Disney Plus shows.
Right, yeah. But it's like
it's our Mandalorian Grogu of Marvel Disney Plus,
Right.
essentially, minus a few people like Miss Marvel and Moon Knight,
Right.
and She-Hulk. It's it's like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. But like a boy can dream.
A boy can
with
dream
that
indeed.
connectivity stuff. But yeah,
Well, and it's
we'll
just they
see.
can't reference. No, they can't. They probably can't reference Kingpin in a movie for the legal shit.
Can they not say Fisk?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably
They're gonna
not,
be
though.
like, yeah, the vigilante stuff that Mayor put in, like shut the fuck up, dude.
Well, and like they really need to.
I'm gonna take this Yeti and fucking bludgeon you with it. Yelena below is gonna be like, yeah, the new mayor doesn't like the vigilante. Like,
That is a good Russian accent.
she
Man, you're just going to see the new
She
vigilantes.
started as a Russian and like slowly became a New Yorker.
Like, yeah. Oh my God, what are you thinking, man? Yeah, I'm really hopeful for Thunderbolts. I hope for the best. I'm not gonna act like I think they're gonna bring that much interconnectivity in, but we'll see, Gooch. We'll see. I don't know what's next for Marvel here. Reception wise, we saw how Captain America went, so which I think it broke. I think it did fine.
That's another point. Like, I'm like, I don't know what, like, is there excitement for Thunderbolts? You know, I don't feel like there is.
No, for sure.
I feel like Thunderbolts will kind of, I will say, perform and be very similar to Brave New World.
I think there's a chance it does better opening wise, and if it's actually good, I think word of mouth will carry it, and I think we could see something somewhat big. I hope so, because I just think the trailers have been really fantastic, and they're really leaning into like this. Listen, we brought on these people; these are the people behind it.
I guess some of these people are going to be in Endgame.
Yeah, I mean, almost all of them.
Did Florence Pugh have a chair?
Yeah, I think Yelena did. Yelena did.
So, and here's what I don't like about that is we know people aren't going to die besides Taskmaster. You know, like, it's really lame.
Yeah.
It's like, you just spoiled the entire movie because I really, I would have.
You didn't know who was going to come out. Yeah.
Red Guardian was going to die.
I think he would have definitely been on the table for sure. Yeah.
So I guess like none of them.
I'm kind of happy to see he's coming back though. But you're right. That definitely does innately take away that possibility. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Anyways, Gooch, anything else on Daredevil Born Again?
That's it, man. I'm just excited. Probably a year later, we're going to get season 2. We're not going to have to wait that long.
Well, fantastic, Gooch. Thank you so much for being here. Yes. I was just sending to the Discord, which you can join, every week when I watch an episode. I was just like, Daredevil episode 3, and it was just him
in the classroom.
It's like sped up. It's so fucking stupid and funny. Well, thank you all if you've been watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We really do appreciate your time. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network on your service of choice. We have a Facebook page, a Discord channel, all of which shall be linked down below for you. You can even find us on all the social medias at Delco Nerds, everywhere with an @ You can find all this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns to DelcoNerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy. We will see you next time.